Well, self-proclaimed prophet Shepherd Bushiri and his wife Mary have filed a review application in Malawi's High Court challenging a ruling that actually orders their extradition back to South Africa. Now, the couple faces serious charges including fraud and money laundering and fled to Malawi back in 2020 after violating their bail conditions. The extradition order follows a formal request from South Africa as authorities also seek to bring them back to justice. And to further unpack this, let's now welcome legal analyst Mr. Melusi Xulu. Melusi, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. So let's get your legal expert opinion on these developments. I mean, what do you make of what legal basis or options do the Bushiris have in this instance, or do they have any chances of success? And if it fails, I suppose then Interpol or SABC have to then coordinate their return.
Good afternoon to you, Alicia, and to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me. What is important about extradition, Alicia, is that the person who's needed, or when there's an arrest that must be done against a person, that person must be brought to the country. But at the same time, the person who's accused also has a right to challenge that extradition. So depending on how he succeeds, he will then remain in his country. But if he doesn't succeed, then the extradition must succeed and he must be brought to South Africa to face his crimes.
And on the South African side, what legal avenues then can we then still pursue, as the minister has already indicated that she will be opposing Melusi? And what would those steps actually entail, especially noting the fact that Bushiri did in fact violate? In fact, he was arrested, went through the judicial process and violated his own bail conditions by absconding under a cloud of mystery. Until today, we still don't know how he actually got to leave the country while charged.
Look, I think what they could do, I will compare this to the Gupta cases. If you're aware, there's certain extraditions that we try to do and we fail at them. But what you do is you also involve the country, which is the requested country, to get the accused back to the country where he's been accused of crimes that he has. So what we should do is to involve Malawi in the process. But what I'm sensing, Alicia, from a political standpoint, or if I'm looking at the optics, it looks as if the Malawian government might not really want to work with the South Africans. Because remember when he was first arrested and then he went back to Malawi, they said, we are the ones that let him go. I mean, there was an interview where a certain minister said, but you are the guys who let Bushiri go or escape from the country. So there's this sense that I'm getting that there's no unity when it comes to that.
So then let's look at the charges that the Bushiris are facing, Melusi, from raid to bail violations and breaching, of course, our immigration as well as financial laws. These are pretty serious charges, right? And then one wonders, how is such an individual not being dealt with by our NPA so that they can account? Or are they slowly heading the similar outcome that we saw in the Omotosho case? I know you made mention or a reference to the Gupta case.
Yeah, it looks like maybe the NPA has to do more, but I believe in this case they are trying their best. It's just that, like I said, if maybe there can be some assistance from the Malawian government, so to speak. But unfortunately, the optics are not going to look good if they don't succeed in the Bushiri case. But I just want to mention something that I want to repeat. Whenever an extradition is happening, there are two things that we need to see. One, we need to see the accused who's in another country coming back to the country where he's accused of those crimes. But the second thing is we also looking at the fact that that person's rights also has to be respected or protected, rather. That's what we saw in the Cholota case. And surprisingly, that what we might see in the Makudumela case, where she's challenging the extradition at the Constitutional Court. So I think that is what is the challenge, despite the fact that we might have a case, but all things have to balance and the constitutional rights have to be respected against the accused person as well.
I just wanted your quick comment, on what legal prescripts and also taking into consideration the relationship that South Africa has, of course, with the origins of Bushiri. Let's talk about that. Can South Africa exercise any extrajudicial measures to actually go and extradite the Bushiris based on this current ruling from the court that said, indeed, they need to be extradited back to the country?
Yes, they have to wait for, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
They have to wait for the appeal process, Alicia, and then also challenge the appeal process. Like I said, it's the right that the Bushiris have, but they must also challenge the appeal that they are doing in Malawi as well.
But then, I mean, Melusi, Bushiri violated his bail conditions here in South Africa. He fled. So essentially, he is an accused or charged person. One would go as far as saying, he's been criminally charged, not necessarily, of course, convicted by the state. So one would have to look at him as some sort of a guilty until proven innocent individual. So does then South Africa not have any legal prescripts that they can actually undertake to say, well, listen, this individual actually fled the country under these bail conditions and he violated these bail conditions. So he should not have gone to court. We should not have gone to court in South Africa to extradite him back to the country in the first place. I don't know if I'm making sense.
You're making sense, but I'm trying to say as well that extradition is a process that the country can do, but also the accused also has a right to have his or her rights protected. Unfortunately, that's how it goes in terms of the law. So it must be done properly. It can't just go to another country and just request. Everything must be done in full, so to speak.
So basically, we should have covered end of this side, well, before letting him go, or basically made sure that he becomes a person that we cannot find, even though he's in the criminal system. Melusi, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your input this afternoon. Mr. Melusi Xulu is a legal analyst on the Bushiri's latest bid to appeal the extradition order to South Africa by the Malawian High Court.